Hey everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. So today I came across an article from Computer World that says that basically IBM says that Apple Swift is ready for enterprise. Now, back in the day when I started learning Java, there's this resource from IBM called DeveloperWorks, and I learned a lot about Java in the enterprise back in late 90s, early 2000s. And it was an excellent resource to see how industry's using Java. So I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to IBM over the last few years, but I'll let you read this article and my view of the Swift movement. Not only that, what we've got here's the actual article. So they're saying, IBM saying that Swift 3 is now ready for the server side, which I've heard many times over from various places. But let me show you what's happening over the IBM DeveloperWorks. The interesting thing is that IBM obviously is going to push their own solutions. But the interesting thing here is that you have some courses that you can take for mobile apps, obviously iOS or Swift, with IBM Watson services. So that is now a framework that they allow for machine learning. And from what I understand, yes, Google Tensor is popular, but from my understanding, a lot of people like this IBM Watson framework. So now that it's available for Swift, that in itself may be a game changer. So obviously IBM's really pushing Swift a lot. Excuse me. Wow. Excuse me again. Anyways, so that's some of the highlights. So for those that may not know, I have my own little YouTube playlist channel on YouTube. So if you go onto my Google...
Howdy everybody, it's Brian here from quantlabs.net.
I've got various, I'll just do this. So if you go into my playlist here,
Hey there!
you will notice somewhere in here I've got Apple Tech channel right here, or playlist. So I talk a lot about Apple and Swift, and some of it also includes high-speed trading. And I'm just going to give an update now on where things are at. So the last video I've done was, when was this?
This is 50 pages long.
Let's see, December, or no, sorry, I think it would be down here. Let's see, that one we look at.
Are you
Sorry about that. End of July was the last video on that channel. So that's been approximately about 2 months. So let's go through the latest updates with Swift. Here is SideChart browsing iOS chart samples. Here we have again SideChart iOS. They have here some demos of real-time ticking stock charts, which I've really liked SideChart for .NET, and there is a pretty cool set of videos that you can run to see this in action. The price for it is $1,000, I believe, just over $1,000. So under iOS charts, you can see here it's actually $1,100 and $2,000 with full source code. So it's kind of pricey. I haven't gone through the full functionality of what iOS Swift charts gives you, but there is some interesting charts here as well. So scatter plot, heat map, blah 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 blah. But the live chart, I think, is the biggest selling feature of this library or package. So do check it out. Now the other one that I'm looking at is Telerik. So if you just do Telerik iOS components, you will get what I'm looking for. So This one's good too. You can actually download a full app, which I downloaded. It does have some of the demos of the charting. I don't think it's live. Now, if it was live, this would be really, really worth it. Also, you get, in addition to that, you get some, also some other things like all these other things like data source. You get list views, gauges, alerts, data form, list view as I said, some other good, really powerful user interface components. And what's the price of this? This is a really good deal, $499. That's a really good deal for Telerex. So I just wanted to let you know, I have highlighted some other packages for charting, but this one's really good. So where does that leave us with, as I mentioned earlier a few days ago, with C++, WX widgets, as well as MATLAB, 2016 that I've been playing with. I really think that the future is still going to be in mobile, be it iPad, iPhone, anything iOS. And obviously there's the argument with Android. I just like Apple. The other philosophy I like with Swift is when you use the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment from Apple, called Xcode, that's one language. So that language called Swift can be deployed onto iOS, which also includes the iPhone, the iPad. On top of it, also you can deploy onto the watch, which is, I think there's a big future in that. Not yet, but in the next few iterations, you'll start to see more and more people deploy neat applications on the watch. But it's very helpful from a trading perspective to get quick alerts on a watch, and I find that very useful. Also, there's the TV, which I think may down the line be useful for my need to broadcast into anyone that has Apple TV, but there's not a big market for it, it looks like, on top of the actual desktop, what they call Mac OS, or what was called Mac OS 10. So you could do all of that, deploy it using one language, with using all these different devices with one language. So kind of like that. But also the nice thing about Xcode is that you can develop using C and C++ as well, and there's a big movement at my end for that as well. At the long end of it, as the end target. Yes, I'm working with Python and Java and other languages, but I think over the long run, I do think using Xcode and deploying on Linux, but your front end is on the Apple devices, Mac, and the iOS devices. I think that's, for me at least, that's my future. So I just thought I'd bring your attention to that, and hopefully I'll maybe bring some clarity. Oh, also, the other thing I like about Swift, no different than how I feel about Python, is there's the Swift Playground. So if you want to learn about programming, this is really meant for kids, but if you want to learn about how to program on an iPad, you can use this Swift Playground app, which will show you how to use Swift as well as just general programming. This is what they designed for kids, so I see no reason why an adult can't use it as well to get into programming with Swift. Now, I can't say if Swift's great or not, but just conceptually, from what I've been seeing, from what I'm seeing on for coming out of IBM for the enterprise, as well as the charts on the programming languages, Swift is getting big, and it's getting really big for a lot of reasons. And it is open source outside of the UI kit from Apple for the user interface. That's closed source, but the language itself, the core language, is open source. So I thought I'd mention all that, and this is where we are today on 27th of September 2016. I'll talk to you later.